The quiet truth that James Allen whispers through as a man thinketh is unsettling in its simplicity. Your life is not happening to you, it is happening from you. Imagine waking up tomorrow and realizing that every joy you've ever felt, every failure that stung, every door that opened or slammed shut was not the result of luck, fate, or cruel chance, but the silent, habitual thoughts you allowed to live rent-free in your mind. That is the uncomfortable invitation Allen extends at the very beginning of this timeless book. He doesn't shout. He doesn't threaten. He calmly places a mirror in front of the reader and says, "Look closely. This is the source." From that moment onward, the book unfolds not as a motivational pep talk, but as a philosophical unveiling of how thought shapes character, character shapes action, and action shapes destiny. James Allen begins with the fundamental assertion that the human mind is both the master we obey and the servant we command. Thought, according to him, is not a harmless mental activity but a creative force, as real and consequential as gravity. Just as a seed inevitably grows into its own kind of plant, a thought inevitably expresses itself in form, action, habit, and outcome. He argues that the outer conditions of a person's life, health, wealth, relationships, career, and even misfortune, are not random occurrences but the direct reflections of inner mental patterns. This idea is not presented as mystical speculation but as a natural law, as dependable as cause and effect. Allen emphasizes that people do not attract what they want, they attract what they are. He then gently dismantles the comforting illusion that circumstances control human destiny. According to Allen, circumstances reveal character, they do not create it. When pressure is applied, what surfaces is not bad luck but previously unseen mental habits. A person who consistently thinks thoughts of fear, resentment, or limitation will inevitably encounter conditions that mirror those thoughts. Conversely, someone who nurtures clarity, courage, discipline, and purpose will gradually shape circumstances that reflect those qualities. The world, in Allen's view, acts as a neutral mirror, faithfully returning what the mind consistently projects. As the book progresses, Allen explains how character is built thought by thought, moment by moment. Character is not something bestowed at birth nor something fixed beyond repair. It is the sum total of mental habits repeatedly indulged. A single negative thought may seem harmless, but repeated often enough, it hardens into attitude, then into behavior, and eventually into destiny. Likewise, noble thoughts, when persistently held, crystallize into integrity, confidence, and strength. Allen insists that no one drifts into greatness by accident. Growth is deliberate. Decline is also deliberate, though often unconscious. Allen spends considerable time exploring the idea that suffering is not punishment but instruction. Pain, disappointment, and hardship are portrayed as teachers revealing mental errors that need correction. Rather than encouraging blame or self-pity, Allen urges readers to ask what inner cause produced the outer effect. This approach reframes adversity as an opportunity for inner refinement. If a person examines their suffering honestly, they can trace it back to some form of disharmony in thought, perhaps arrogance, impatience, fear, or self-deception. Correct the thought, Allen argues, and the condition will eventually correct itself. One of the most profound sections of the book addresses how thought directly influences health. Allen presents the radical idea that the body is a servant of the mind. Chronic negative emotions such as anxiety, anger, guilt, and despair weaken the body over time, while thoughts of peace, goodwill, and joy strengthen it. He does not deny physical causes of illness, but he insists that mental states play a significant role in either aggravating or alleviating physical conditions. A calm mind contributes to a resilient body, while a chaotic mind invites physical breakdown. Health, in this sense, is not merely medical but mental and moral. Allen then shifts his attention to purpose, describing it as the central organizing force of a successful life. Without a clearly defined aim, a person becomes a drifting ship, vulnerable to every passing current. Purpose focuses thought, aligns action, and gives meaning to effort. Allen stresses that weak purposes lead to weak results, while strong, well-defined purposes generate power, endurance, and clarity. He explains that a person must first decide who they want to become before they can decide what they want to achieve. Once purpose is fixed, thoughts naturally fall into line behind it. In discussing success, Allen challenges the common belief that wealth is the primary measure of achievement. He argues that true success is the progressive realization of noble character and useful service. Wealth, when it comes, is merely the outward symbol of inner discipline, order, and effort. He warns that riches gained without integrity inevitably bring anxiety and loss, while wealth earned through honest effort becomes a source of stability and peace. Allen emphasizes that no one can cheat the law of cause and effect for long. The mind keeps the ledger, even when society applauds shortcuts. Another powerful idea Allen explores is serenity. He describes calmness of mind as one of the most valuable achievements a person can attain. Calmness is not weakness or passivity, it is mastery. A calm person is not easily shaken by insults, delays, or disappointments because they understand the transient nature of external events. Serenity comes from self-control, self-knowledge, and alignment with truth. Allen suggests that the more a person governs their thoughts, the less they are governed by circumstances. Throughout the book, Allen repeatedly returns to personal responsibility as the cornerstone of freedom. He rejects the idea that people are victims of heredity, environment, or chance. While these factors may influence starting points, they do not dictate final outcomes. Each individual, through the thoughts they choose to entertain, shapes their own future. This idea is empowering but also demanding. It removes excuses. If life is unsatisfactory, the remedy lies not in blaming others but in changing oneself. Allen's writing carries a quiet moral undertone, emphasizing virtues such as honesty, patience, humility, and perseverance. He does not frame morality as a social obligation but as a practical necessity for inner harmony. Immoral thoughts and actions, he argues, inevitably produce mental unrest and external instability. Moral strength, on the other hand, creates inner peace and lasting success. Ethics are not optional. They are structural components of a well-ordered life. As the narrative nears its end, Allen invites the reader to recognize the mind as a garden. Thoughts are seeds. Some are deliberately planted, others are weeds allowed to grow unchecked. A neglected mind produces chaos, while a cultivated mind yields order and beauty. The gardener must be vigilant, uprooting harmful thoughts and nurturing beneficial ones daily. This metaphor encapsulates the book's core message. Mental discipline is not a one-time act but a lifelong practice. In the conclusion of As a Man Thinketh, Allen circles back to the original premise with even greater clarity. A person becomes what they think about most. There is no escaping this law. Destiny is not written in the stars but etched in the mind. Every choice of thought is a vote for the kind of life one will eventually live. The book closes not with dramatic flair but with quiet confidence, leaving the reader with a realization that transformation is both simple and demanding. Simple, because the power lies within. Demanding, because it requires vigilance, honesty, and effort. Ultimately, As a Man Thinketh is less a book to be read once and more a philosophy to be lived daily. It strips away illusions and places responsibility exactly where it belongs, within the individual. It offers no shortcuts, no instant miracles, only a timeless truth. Change your thoughts, and you change your world. The real question it leaves behind is not whether this law works, but whether the reader is brave enough to apply it.